Mr. Williams in the pledge.
Yes, sir.
All bow our head, please. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here today. Watch over, protect us, and forgive us our many sins. Just be with those who are not here. Continue to pray with Miss Bowman throughout this year. Just pray for her health and safety. I ask and pray that you'll be with our citizens of Caddo Parish and our administration and our employees, dear Lord. So I ask and pray that you will bless us in the year of 2013, going forward the best you can, and whatever's done, it'll be your will. In the precious holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Raise the flag and render the proper salute and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're the agenda edition.
Happy New Year.
Let's see any citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and file it to the president or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizen will be limited to 3 minutes, and I don't have any cards for you. All right. Mr. Wilson?
Mr. After game.
Yes, sir. The visitors?
Yes, sir. We have a couple of presentations we'd like to make. First and foremost, we have Ken Rogers here from Call.
Okay.
Would you come and give us, Mr. Kent? He's going to give us an update on the I-49 progress and also the idea of the corridor that Commissioner Dominic had asked us to take a look at. A planning corridor 2 or 3 miles on either side of the corridor up north.
You're gonna introduce the name.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. For the record, Kent Rogers, Executive Director, Northwest Louisiana Council of Governments, 625 Texas Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. Thank y'all for having me today. I have a couple of different things being passed around. One is a kind of a written series on update on I-49, both I-49 North, I-49 Inner City, I-49 South, and I-49 as a whole. And then there's some detailed maps and whatnot on the inner city portion. And then finally, we'll answer some questions that Woody had in terms of I-49 land use along the I-49 North corridor. As we all know, I-49 North has always been the #1 project for this area. That's the portion from I-220 all the way up to the Arkansas line. The project is fully funded with a combination of federal and state funds. It's better than, I want to say, if I remember off the top of my head, about 62% state funds, the rest being federal funds, which is an anomaly, I guess you could say. Typically, those projects are 80% federal, 20% local match. We've had much greater local money involved in that project than the state and federal funds. Segments A through I will be completed. We're looking at spring, summer of this year, with an opening of most of those sections from LA1 north up to through Section B up to where it interchanges with Section A. Summertime this year. That will get you all the way from LA1 basically up to the Arkansas line on I-49 this summer. The last 2 sections of 49 North, J and K, have been let for construction. The segment J, which is from LA1 to MLK, should begin construction early spring of this year. Section K, roughly this time next year, will begin construction. They're in the right-of-way acquisition process for those last 2 phases. Engineering work's been completed on them. So roughly the 2016 timeframe, we should be driving from 220 all the way up to the Arkansas line.
All right.
In terms of the inner city portion, you'll see there's a series of maps that go along with the inner-city portion. We, in mid-December, we had a series of open house public meetings on the inner-city section, described the alternatives that Providence Engineering has come up with through the process, along with the no-build alternative. That no-build alternative, of course, is using 220 in the inner loop from I-49, where it ties in with the inner loop, loop around and tie into the 220 interchange to go up to I-49 North. That would be the no-build alternative. There's 4 build alternatives that were presented. The purpose of those meetings was to get some public input on them. They had some choice cards, comment cards and whatnot, asking if there was a preference for a build or no build alternative, and then from the build alternatives, which of the build alternatives was the preferred one. There's also a series of those maps that detail the build alternatives in this, along with some of the impacts that each one of those would have that y'all can look at. They're still taking comments from those meetings up until, I believe it's the 17th of this month, they'll take comments. So if you want to send them in, if you have comments, please do. I-49 South, that's the portion from roughly the Lafayette Airport on to New Orleans. After Katrina Rita, there were some design standards that were changed, asking that entire portion to be an elevated expressway, which brought the cost of it up to about $5 billion. Since then, everybody has realized there's no way we can come up with $5 billion to build this thing, so they're going back and asking for some design exceptions to it, looking at some of it actually staying at grade, and realizing that yes, at some points in time during hurricanes and whatnot, it may be flooded and it may be underwater, but it's better to get something built than nothing built. In terms of the corridor as a whole, from New Orleans all the way up to Kansas City, on December 12th of this past December 12th, 12/12/12, at 12:12 p.m., US 71 from Kansas City down to Joplin, Missouri was redesignated as I-49. So we are moving in that process of getting a complete interstate system done. The last real piece to look at in terms of funding, other than reworking some of that 49 South in Louisiana, is the section from Texarkana up to Fort Smith, Arkansas. Arkansas is looking at a couple of different combinations of funding for that project in terms of toll roads, TIFIA loans through the federal government, a myriad of different things to figure out how to fund that portion. Any questions?
Mr. Dominic?
Yeah, I got a couple. And I guess this is for the benefit of our clerk, Todd Hopkins. When this thing opens, what is, have y'all done any type of study? It just seems like everything's going to be clogged right there at Highway 1. If anybody north coming from Vivian or coming to work from Shreveport's really going to get bogged down at that point if you have so much traffic.
Yeah, DOT is looking at how, they'll actually, there'll be signals there regardless. So, even when it continues on, there'll still be signals at that interchange. DOT is looking at what interim improvements they may need to make there at that intersection with LA1, what the timing of those signals would be. Would they be more heavily oriented towards traffic coming off of 49, or would they still be more oriented towards the traffic on
Maybe some type of stoplight, traffic light that will enable someone coming from Vivian or Oil City to continuously come on through to Shreveport. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. That's what DOT is looking at now. Is the best way to do that timing once it's opened up. There'll probably be, a couple times they'll have to go out there and adjust once the traffic actually gets open, because we won't really know until it really is open how bad it will be.
And I guess the other question, if I'm hearing you right, then we're looking at spring or sometime early summer from the point of Highway 1 on I-49 opened up to where it goes to Arkansas. Is that pretty much correct?
It'd actually go from LA1 all the way up to, I think it's called Myron Murtis Road. That last section in Louisiana won't be open
The one in
until that last section in Arkansas is completed, which would be a couple more years.
Okay, there's one in there, okay. All right, so it'll be the Murtis Road then.
Right. We go from, it'll be sections B through I, yes.
And can you tell us about, one of the things that, Mr. Wilson and I talked about was possibly of a study going out from along the corridor, going a 2 or 3 mile study.
Yes.
Can you tell us what we could do if that's what we decided to do? It looks like we need to do some type of planning out there for Smart Road. And how much would that cost? Have you, because I thought, y'all were doing some of that stuff, if we piggybacked on y'all's.
Yeah, we had originally planned on doing basically a mile-wide corridor
Right.
along there. And we had, I guess it was maybe roughly this time last year or early part of last year, some conversations. The price estimate that we were given at that time was based on a 1 mile corridor versus the entire rest of the parish type of thing. And it ranged from, the total cost, I want to say, was about $300,000 or $325,000, somewhere in that range, with us covering about half that cost through COG, through our 1 mile corridor work that we're doing. I talked again, I guess it was about a month ago, when Woody called and asked, can we get some updates on this, with Providence Engineering. That's the firm that's doing all work for us. We've also had several conversations with MPC and specifically with Roy in terms of the Unified Development Code update and that work, and what really should be done. If you're going to take that step towards a Unified Development Code, this work really should be done in conjunction with that. Now, whether that's done as a sub-part of that contract, or whether it's a separate one altogether, that can be worked out down the line, but in terms of public input and the public process for that, those really should be done together, because it's, for a great majority of it, it's the same thing. It's the same process that we'd be going through in terms of looking at the future land use in those corridors and looking at what you want.
The price to do this planning, is the engineering company, who is it that's doing it?
Providence Engineering. Mark Black would have been the point of contact with Providence on it. Again, roughly, I guess it was about a month ago when Woody asked me to get some updates.
Right.
I've asked him to give me some good updates on those numbers based on a 3 mile corridor versus the 1 mile.
We don't have those
parish-wide.
numbers yet.
No, but he said they'd probably be somewhere in that same range.
Can you follow up on that and
Yes.
let me know? I may call you tomorrow or early next week, just to chit-chat on a few things, okay?
Okay, no problem.
I think that's all the questions I have this time.
Okay, Mr. Baker?
Yes, I just have a question on these commercial structures and church structures. Does that mean they're gonna have to be relocated?
Those are the number, and these are worst-case scenario numbers. The corridors that were identified in that work were 300-foot wide corridors plus the area that would be needed for an interchange at Ford and at Hearn. The worst-case scenarios, the likelihood is we would only need about 200 feet within that corridor to complete the highway.
So 300 feet wide?
Correct. Those are worst-case scenarios for a number of structures that would be impacted by that. Whether they would actually need to be purchased or not, that would get down into that final when they do the full engineering process on
These are
it.
possibilities that...
Correct.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to commend your office for help coordinating and bringing to fruition. And also, the Louisiana Department of Transportation and the partnerships with the federal agencies and the local and state. It's been a process long overdue. It's been very tedious. and to get it to this point, I'm very excited about the future and the potential of North Louisiana and particularly North Shreveport, being a gateway all the way to Canada. You know, one of my main concerns is the inter-city connection. And we know that you have several alternatives, site routes. I haven't had a chance to make all of the meetings, but the meetings that I was attending, that most of the residents and the businesses and the churches, their main concern was losing the historical preservation. There was some concerned about losing public housing. There was some concerned about losing the church.
Correct.
And I haven't had a chance to study all the alternatives, but I believe after hearing from Commissioner Baker about some of the alternative sites, what is the feedback on, you feel, out of all the three alternatives?
Again, I haven't seen all the feedback yet because they're still taking feedback and still taking input there because there were some written comment cards and that could be sent into them. A lot of the concerns were, we had, the consultants actually had some mapping systems set up there so concerned citizens could literally zoom in on their own house or their own business. That was a lot of the concerns were, is it my house? Or how close to my house or my business would this be? There were some concerns of, there's a group out there that would prefer a no-build alternative altogether. And there were some concerns over how does that work versus a build alternative? What would the expenses be in that? What would happen from here is they'll take all that input from these public meetings, they'll take all the written input, and take from that, identify the build alternative that had the most preference to it. And then they'll further refine that single corridor. They'll do actual noise studies, they'll do actual shovel digs in the ground to find out if there's any, contaminants in various spots and things like that. So that final corridor out of those four would have, extremely large amount of detail on it in terms of exactly how many houses, what context-sensitive solutions would be included into that build alternative. Because we've asked them to look at greenways within there, parks within there. Do we want the concrete to be, purple, or do we want to do other things within that area? Because if those items are included in that environmental document, and if Federal Highways ultimately says, yes, we're going to build this, they have to do whatever's included in that environmental document. So therefore, we've asked to include all those context-sensitive things within there. Because if you don't have them in there up front, and Federal Highway says we're going to build, you can't come in afterwards and say, oh, let's add this, let's add that, let's do this, let's do that, because they'll just say, no, this is what we said we're going to build, that's what we're going to build.
Well, after researching over the last 10 years of the process to get us to this point, I wouldn't dare insult your intelligence on that you're not going to be in the best interest of North Louisiana and the residents in the Allendale and Lakeside community, and about the environmental impact and the property owners who own the property that the routes will be going. I think they ought to have an alternative to negotiate what they think is best for them, and I don't think government should be involved with a private owner of a piece of property telling them what they should do and should not do. We'll let the state and
Correct. They did have, at this series of public meetings, we did have representatives from the DOTD real estate section there, and they went through the process of how that works with several of them. Typically what's done is DOTD have a couple, if your property will be purchased, they'll have a couple of appraisals done, provide those to you along with relocation assistance cost and whatnot. If you disagreed with those appraisals, you can have your own appraisal done and negotiate, with your own appraisal for those appraisals for the work to be done.
Is that a contact? Because I've received several calls. I can get that legal with the
The best I can say is just contact the DOTD District 04 Real Estate Office. over there on Industrial Drive in Mosier City.
And my last question, have the contracts been awarded for the contractors, for the two pieces, for the, segment K and segment, J, I believe?
Yes.
Have the contracts been awarded for both of those to actually, do the work? Not just the engineering, but,
K has been let for construction. I don't know whether they've awarded that contract yet or not. And I think, if I recall correctly, I think J is to be bid March timeframe.
okay. Thank you, and we want to continue the momentum and enthusiasm of I-49 coming to our architect. I'm excited, and I think North Street, we're excited, we're looking forward to with the future potential of economic development that it's going to bring in prosperity in the land of North Shreveport. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to even drive on it. Thank you.
You driving on part of it, soon?
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Kent, for coming today. What did you say the breakdown was of federal money and state money?
It's better than 60% state monies.
So it's
I don't know the
60%
exact
state
number.
money,
I don't remember.
60/40? Would that be
Probably pretty
or
close.
65/35?
Probably somewhere around that, 65, 35.
65/35?
I can send you those exact numbers later. And those are typically 80-20 funds.
What is the cost, and it's my understanding that the most expensive segment is doing the inner city segment because you're plowing through homes and churches and going over 18 miles of wetland.
That cost, that $640 million for 49 North, that's from 220 to the Arkansas border. That doesn't include the inner city section.
What is the cost of the inner city section?
The alternatives range anywhere from about 120 million up to about 320. And that depends on design alternatives, what all extra amenities are included in with that project and whatnot.
The estimates I got seemed to be way higher than that from before. What would be the cost of the loop it design, where you're actually looping it and you're saving the inner city and you're saving the wetlands? How much is that?
We have not done those estimates yet, and part of that would be determined. Federal Highways would say, okay, if you're not, then yes, we want this 6 lanes wide the whole way around. We know we're going to have to do some improvements specifically around the where pretty much from Linwood to Ellerby area. We know there's going to need to be some there done. The real unknown would be, are they going to make us do something to the bridge? And if they ask us to make improvements to the 220 bridge, that's not just typical road construction and, add a lane each side. That's also tremendous amount of drainage work that goes along with that project. If you've ever noticed the bridge,
I'm familiar with the bridge over Cross Lake, I'm guessing is what you're talking about. Not taking into consideration the bridge, would the cost on the looping it be, less than $100 million?
I can't answer that, because I don't know what requirements Federal Highways would place on. They may
Can you find that
say,
out?
we can find out.
Okay, thank you.
Because they may ask us to say, okay, we want this as a total 6-lane to 6-lane connection, which means we'd have to add 2 lanes all the way around from inner loop at 49 to inner loop at, or 220 at 49 North, which...
Will you find out both options?
cost. Yes.
All right, thank you. That's all, Mr. President.
Mr. Espadate.
Yeah, Kent, quick question. You were talking about the work your engineering firm was doing in relation to the Unified Development Code that the city and the parish are endeavoring to undertake. Say what you did again, but just to be a little more explicit. Have you spoken to the MPC staff about the teaming up possibility and the need to, or where is that?
Roy and I have had this conversation many times. Even from the very get-go when we were looking at just the 1 to 1 mile corridor. and how that all should work. What we are currently, in-house currently, my staff is doing a 1 mile corridor from Arkansas line to 220, well, no, we're doing from Arkansas line to DeSoto line, current land use within that 1 mile corridor. What we were going to have Providence do was take that 1 mile corridor and do a future land use study along with that. Looking at how you would like those things, how the community would like to see it grow and develop, but then also looking at what measures the various governing bodies would have to take to help implement those or to control that land use, which is, in essence, zoning or unified development codes.
So you think that we're possibly going to be redundant if we continue on our own, basically duplicating efforts already done?
We would, I think it needs to be highly coordinated between the two, yes.
We need to explore that possibility. Yeah, we don't want to waste resources to do double work. So you've been talking specifically with who? Roy?
Roy.
Talk to Ms. Sanders?
Some of it prior, some of it recently. I think Woody had the same, or roughly about the same time that Woody called me, I had some of that same conversation with Roy again of, okay, if we do this, you know, how can we work this in with what you're doing and you know, are y'all doing the unified code update?
We've got a meeting next week of the joint committee with the city and the parish, and I'll give you an email, invite you to it. I'd love for you to come, and if you can.
We will.
Thank you.
Mr. Cox, he just answered it. All right. That's all the questions I believe we have for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Ken. Commissioners, for some of you all have met this Denise Thomas. Please stand. Ms. Denise, so I put you on the spot. Ms. Denise is our new paralegal. She's replacing Ms. Carrie Dare that retired recently. So she just started today, and I'd like for you all to aware who she is. So if you have any legal concerns, she will probably be helping you along with the legal staff, with Charles and Ms. Donna Frazier. And welcome to our team.
Get dumb on that.
Okay. Commissioners, I have a letter I need to read to you all, so please indulge me in reading this letter to you all. This is in accordance with Section 501 of the Caddo Parish Home Rule Charter. I'm pleased to present for your consideration my recommendation of Mr. Armory Wesley as the Director of Parks and Recreation for the Caddo Parish. I had offered and he's accepted a salary of $77,237 at a grade 05, step 7 on the pay chart of unclassified employees. Henri has been employed by the Parish of Caddo for 16 years. For the past 10 years, he has served as the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. He possesses extensive background and working knowledge in the area of Parks and Recreation. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Parks and Recreation from Northwestern University. Henri is a state-certified park and recreation professional, and he is currently the president of the State of Louisiana Parks and Recreation Association. Henri has also served on the National Park and Recreation Association Board since 1987. In 2000, he was appointed by the governor as a commissioner to the State of Louisiana AmeriCorps Board, where he served faithfully for approximately 6 years in various positions. Henri is a 2010 graduate of the National Recreation and Parks Association, Certified Park Recreation Professional Director School at the University of North Carolina. For your information, this 2-year professional training program is equivalent to a master's degree program in the Parks and Recreation field. Henri has a strong background and vast amount of experience in this area of Parks and Recreation. He has articulated an exceptional vision and the various goals for enhancement of services and the future growth of the Parks and Recreation Department. It is worth noting that he has fostered an excellent working relationship with practically all of the towns and communities that we serve, which is a plus for our organization and our parish. I'm confident that Henri has the necessary attributes to be successful in his new role as the Parks and Recreation Director for the Parish of Caddo. and that he will lead the department to an even higher level of performance. Mr. Larry Raymond, upon his departure, conveyed to me that his understudy is very capable, and I concur with his assessment. I respectfully request your confirmation of Mr. Andre Wesley as Director of Parks and Recreation for the Parish of Caddo, effective immediately. The third thing I have for you, Commissioners, is to make you aware that we will be participating in Mardi Gras this year, and that's January 30th through the 3rd of February. And this year, the Shaw Group will be going with us to Washington to talk to some of the departments. And from the very onset, we have chose the Shaw Group because of their expertise and their contacts in Washington, D.C. So we will be implementing that in the forthcoming visit to Washington, D.C. Mardi Gras, which will occur January 30th through the 3rd of February. And also, this will make you aware of the conference tomorrow, the announcement tomorrow. I asked Mr. Daniel Strickland to kind of give us an update on where we are. I don't have an agenda for what will take place tomorrow, other than the fact that at 12 o'clock, there will be an announcement at the General Motors plant with respect to Ilya Motors.
All right, before we move on, Mr. Wesley, did you want to say anything? Come on up, man. Be careful what you wish for.
Thank you all for having me today. I want to say thank you to, well, tomorrow I'll do it more officially when my mother and my father come up, and they've already been on me. When we come. So they're ready to come in front of you all. I hope that you all will have the confidence in me to do the job as everyone else has given so far. I know that I can, and I will be here to serve the people of the community and you. Thank Mr. Wilson. Thanks Mr. Randy, Erica, and definitely to Mr. Raymond, who is one of the best parks and recreation persons throughout the nation. Now, not just say the state, but throughout the nation. Some of you may not know, Commissioner Williams met him years ago, and he said, you know what, we're going to get a job over there in Parks and Recreation, and we're going to hire you. And I said, okay, whatever. And I kept going when I was with SPAR. I don't know if he had anything to do with me being hired, but I met Mr. Raymond, and he said, I like you. And we came on, and I've been blessed ever since. Lord has blessed me to be here, and I'm thankful very much for all those blessings. That's all. I'll be in more detail tomorrow, I guess.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. You can do it now? Yeah. Mr. Dominic?
I'd like to make a motion to expand the agenda for Thursday, or to approve the appointment of Andre Wesley.
Second. Okay. We need to vote on that, or we just go ahead and put that on the agenda?
That comes from administrative, do we?
I don't think we need, we don't have to approve it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and vote to expand the agenda for tomorrow. Okay. Cast your vote, please.
Be nice today.
Yeah.
Expand the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynch.
All right, that passes 11-0.
I need to make a motion to...
Motion to add to today's agenda under new business.
Okay, make a motion to add the matter under new business for today regarding the approval and appointment of Mr. Wesley as the new Parks and Recreation Director.
Second. All right, we got Mr. Dominic made the motion, second by Mr. Williams. Cast your vote, please. And that passes 11-0. Ms. Lynch?
Yeah, I had a question. John referenced a meeting that he was inviting Kent to between the city and the parish. What meeting is that?
It's our joint ongoing master plan committee meeting, and they're taking up the issue of the UDC, and I believe it's Monday at
I used to have a place.
noon. Anybody else wants to attend?
Where are they?
It's at the fourth floor of the MPC office.
Okay,
conference room.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Escaday?
Yeah, I'm going to congratulate Mr. Wesley. I'm sure he'll do a fine job. I just have a couple of questions for Mr. Wilson. Did you just decide, did we look outside for this, or did you just pretty much decide this is what you wanted to do?
I decided what I wanted to do. I had a year to think about it, actually, and looked at Andre. We've been coaching him in various settings, and I think that he has what it takes to get the job done.
So nobody else currently with the parish or outside the parish even had an opportunity?
Don't come close to these qualifications,
How would you know?
because if they would, we know who work for us and what they have.
Well, no, but how would we know that? I'm just asking a question. If we didn't publicize it, we didn't, put out an ad in the paper, take out, how would we know nobody else even comes close to those qualifications? It's just a question.
I think I
Well, I know you're in line with the charter. I'm not going to debate that. I'm just saying, I'm worried that we maybe send a message that, if you're down in the pecking order and you take care of your immediate supervisor, you'll automatically rise, or I'm also worried about the potential message that it sends to everybody else in the parish that if you're not in, you're not going to get in.
I give this matter much prayer and thought, because as you know, that the last time I hired someone for the juvenile services, I went outside. The last time I hired someone for facilities, we advertised. And when I hired in-house my director of animal services, I chose him. I chose Robert Glass for the direct appointment because I work with those individuals and I know them.
We're not debating your choices. You've made good choices. I'm just questioning the process,
Well, that's the process. I chose him.
Good.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. I want to commend the administration for an excellent choice, because I believe that people that work for a job ought to have the opportunity for one day to have the hope to be able to get promoted from within the department they work for years. What disturbs me is when we go out and hire outside people, then the people that actually know how to do the job end up training that person, and they already know how to do the job. I think that is unfair. We need to learn to start promoting from within. And we need to learn to give the administration that have the trust and integrity and character to work with these people. You have watched them over the years. I haven't always agreed with some of the appointments, because some of the people that got appointment don't even have the qualification, but they got the appointment and they're making the money. But we have to live with the administration decision. If you want to do a study on who has the most qualification, who's making the most money, you will find that some of the people that got college degrees and master's degrees, and the people that don't are making more money than the people that do. You call that fair? That ain't fair. That ain't fair. That ain't fair. Let's talk about fairness. Today is a good day, a historical day. I'm proud in more than one way. You have to be a young man who came up through the ranks, who paid his dues. And he should look forward to being promoted to being the director one day. That's why we get up and go to work. We don't go to work and always hire someone to train them to do the job. You talking about morale killer. It's a morale booster. I want to say this is what it's all about, working in government and serving in the public office. And I want to commend the administration and all who participated in the interview process. Because we were to do everyone like that, I believe some of these people are more qualified than others in these positions, and they're making more money than they do. So we don't want to get into cherry picking who's good and who's not, and did you advertise that? Well, they all need to have the same merit. I trust the integrity of the administrator. I don't always agree with some of the things that he do. People don't agree with a lot of things I do. But today, it's a good historical day. I think he's probably the first African-American Department of Public Works in the history of the Caddo Parish.
Charles.
Parks?
Yeah, he's probably only the second in the history of Caddo Parish.
Well, I'm just saying, we've come a long way. We've come a long ways, and the diversity is showing in the South. We got an African-American administrator, and we're seeing the diversity of living in Shreveport and Caddo Parish. We're being inclusive now. That's what it's all about. It's not all about divide and conquer. When people go to school, they get educated, do everything America tell you to do. If you do the right thing, you stay out of trouble, you don't go to jail, you play by the rules, you ought to have a hope of your American dream. And he has his dream today. And I'm excited, and I see other people that reach their dream and their potentials. in Caddo, in Shreveport, in the state of Louisiana. This is a good thing. This is good for him. This is good for for the morale within the department. It's good for his self-esteem. It gives others behind him hope. If they work hard and play by the rules, when somebody retires, they'll have an opportunity to be promoted from within. So you're good. Good job. And I congratulate you on your decision. And I'm very proud of Mr. Henry Wesley. Look for better and brighter things to come. But you better keep Mr. Raymond a little side by side, close to you, when you're messing with them animals.
No, that was all. Thank you.
I just had one quick comment about the appointment, and I think that we depreciate, in this case, Mr. Wesley, by even referring to race. It happens that the best person was picked, who also happens to be a black man, and I don't want to even talk about making it racial, because it's not. He was the best person available, and the best person that I think our administrator knew about, and that's all it should be. He was the best guy. If it was the best woman, the best whatever, he was the best person in the eyes of the administrator. That, to me, that's the most important thing. Not that he's black, not that he's white or anything else.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, sure you do. All right, any other communiques or committee reports?
That concludes my report for today, sir.
All right. That makes sense?
I think a month or two ago, I had gotten some information from the NACO, National Association of Counties, which we're, as a parish, are very active in, regarding some technical assistance that was available through the EPA for communities that were turning their attention to smart growth and sustainable development, and asked that we consider applying for one of those grants for technical assistance. And I don't know if Ken or Daria wants to come up and kind of brief us on that. But we were one of the communities chosen to receive this grant, and so I'm very, very, very pleased. Mr. Wilson, thank you. I see your letter here that's attached to it, expressing our letter of interest in the project, but just how is that going to help us? And
It's going to do a couple things, Commissioner, is that back in October, with the help of Dara Sanders with the NPC office, we did submit for this grant. It is for technical assistance, and pretty much what we're going to do is utilize this technical assistance with our master plan with our water district, as well as the Unified Development Code, to work on trying to make our water, make quality of life better with utilizing high quality and quantity of water through the ground source. So this is an opportunity for us to use the technical assistance to have outreach, help with the communities who are affected by the Unified Development Code, as well as the folks up and down the I-49 corridor that we're looking at potential to utilize the opportunities for water resources, green infrastructure, and that type of stuff. And this will be a phased out process where they'll be coming down, helping us with some technical assistance to get that back out. So we have a kickoff meeting later in the month where we actually discuss with the EPA folks on where to go, what's the next step, what do we have to do, and that type of stuff.
well, I certainly want to thank you all. I serve on the Green Government Advisory Board for NACO, and the email that I got was as a result of serving on that committee, and then this body also passed a Green Government Advisory Committee a couple of years ago, and so we're just continuing slowly but surely to try and make an impact in the parish in terms of sustainability. So thank you so much, and I'm looking at these cities. They were going to do up to 44 cities. I don't know if they did all of them, but I'm just looking at the list of some of the ones that were approved, and it's a very competitive process, and so I think it speaks volumes about certainly not only our involvement with our national association, but also the work and that you and Daria put into the application. So thank you.
Good job, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, the President's report, two things. We will be electing officers for the year 2013 at tomorrow's meeting. And let me smile as much as I can about that. And because of that, we will also be taking pictures tomorrow, so everybody get snazzy looking, wear your best. Oh, had it right. Snazzy looking every day. You do. We want to all try to dress up to the level of Mr. Williams. Look the part, huh, baby? Swag out here.
You can't be the part, you just as soon look the part.
Hey, you ever act the part?
Always. We'll be that long.
Introduction of ordinance number 5285, 2013, change the name of GM Boulevard to Eastern Boulevard.
Recommend for advancement to Thursday's agenda.
Mr. Escalade. Well, I'm sorry, did you want to speak on it? Mr. Epson? Mr. Williams, did you want to speak on it? Mr. Escalade?
I think everybody's aware that there's been a request from a potential occupier of that site to have that road possibly named in some form or fashion after this entity, if perhaps everything comes to fruition. So in light of that, I think we ought to delay this. There's no urgency. That's all I got to say.
Ms. Lynch?
Yes, was that request in writing or what? I wasn't aware of it.
What
Was
request?
that he just said a request had been made by somebody.
It was made from the entity to the administration.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, we received a verbal request, ma'am.
Oh, verbal request?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Okay. If it's the entity that I'm thinking it may be, are they going to be buying the building or are they leasing the building?
Buying.
Okay, part of it?
All of it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Epson? I'm very aware of this situation. Got a folder that's stacked with emails relative to the changing of that street from General Motors to something else based upon that they are no longer there. And however, there are some ugly things in here. And some of those things came along even while we were still negotiating, even though I realized that it was a done deal that they were leaving. But I think we ought to be professionals and act in a respectable manner until whatever General Motors' decision was completely resolved, which I think it was on November the 30th. I've been in contact with individuals, and that's been my agenda too, to look at that street after General Motors has left. I'd also like to state that I have spoken with the individual that's the prospective purchaser of that property. Spoke with them, and they have no problem with what I'm doing now. Oftentimes, sometimes you have to earn something, you know what I mean? At this point in time, there's a possibility that there are several I's and T's, I's that must be dotted and T's that needs to be crossed, So at this time, in order not to be contentious, to have something that's synonymous with something that's already in place, and I have done my research, Mr. Glass and Mr. Whittington can attest to this, way back, asking for the history of Dinkins Boulevard, how that came about, asking for West Antone Loop, how that name came about. It was in the 70s. And thinking that if we would put something on there now that's neutral, and whom or whatever comes there, once whatever they state that they're going to do come to fruition, there will be plenty of time to change the name of that avenue to whatever that entity is, if that's their desire. Based upon the amount of contention and the amount of other names that was sent to me in order to change that to, I thought that this would be the best route. And I think our main objective today should be to have whatever entity located on whatever the name of that street may be to come to fruition and provide jobs and economic prosperity to Caddo Parish. So I would hope that you would go along with this situation, give me the respect as to an individual that saw this coming and that's been working with it in advance with documentation to prove so, which I discussed to the prospective tenant who has no problem with that situation. And let's go ahead and move this forward, change that name, and get about on with the business of doing what's in the best interest of providing economic fruition to the citizens of this parish. I have no other speakers. Cast your vote, please. And that fails 6-4.
Authorize resolution number 1 of 2013. Authorize the Caddo Parish Administrator to request and authorize the Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board Office of Mineral Resources to accept nominations, advertise for oil, gas, and mineral leases, accept bids, and award executive oil, gas, and mineral leases on certain properties.
So moved. Thursday.
Moved by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Williams or Mr. Escudero? All right. Cast your vote, please.
Chairman, I'm going to wait to Thursday to give an explanation on why we're doing this again. Chesapeake. I got a little briefing on it, how they're going before the State Mineral Board to modify their bid. But I need more of an explanation in writing. We'll get it Thursday.
Yes, sir. You'd like to have one today? Robert, are you prepared to give an explanation today on this? Commissioner, will you make it today?
To everybody.
Is it appropriate to give it now?
Yes.
This is just the same resolution that you passed back in
You don't need to continue. I got it.
32.
Thank you.
It's the same acreage.
I don't need it.
Same.
Thank you for being prepared.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Well done.
Just tell me, sit down. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Robert. I said I put a memo, each one of you have it at your desk.
Well, I put stuff at your desk, you don't read mine. When I gave information for swag, y'all didn't read none of it.
They've been down to read from.
Okay, all right.
He got his hate mail, man. Cast your vote, please.
Y'all don't, you don't read my stuff, so I'm just
Y'all
saying.
don't be in there, everybody. Slip a 5 in there, I would. Put some ribs on top. Passes 11-0.
Resolution number 2 of 2013, amend the rules and bylaws of the Caddo Parish Commission.
Move Thursday.
Resolution. Just wanted to make the note this resolution will be up for final adoption not until January 17th.
Why is that?
So moved.
It's because we're changing bylaws, and it has to lay over, has to be announced at a meeting and then lay over to the following meeting.
That's procedure set forth in your rules, Commissioner.
Let me ask you about the
Just let it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
let me ask you about the public notice on this. It's not really specific to what is being proposed.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
I said I wanted to ask about the public notice on it because it's not really specific as to what is being proposed. I mean, I'm looking at, other things on the agenda where it's specific to what sections that's being proposed. I don't see that on this one. I'm not sure if it's sufficient. When I'm looking at the actual resolution, it's got, it's pertaining to a specific article, section.
Your question is whether the notice is specific enough to meet legal requirements?
Yes, I'm raising an issue as to that.
I see your point, Commissioner, but I mean, I think it is, particularly,
Well, I don't really expect you to agree with me, Charles, but I want to raise that issue, because I don't think it is sufficient. And so, I mean, I don't think it's sufficient, because it's not, it doesn't tell you anything. Like I said, when I look at the others, when we're talking about the charter and some other things, it's very specific, and this one has nothing, no reference as to what we're changing. The other concern I have, the proposed changes, and of course I'm speaking because I'm probably the most traveled commissioner out of the 12 in the 9 years that I've been here. But I'm just looking at the committee, and most of the people, if not everybody on the committee, rarely travels. Some not at all, have not traveled at all on behalf of this commission body since I've been here. Well, let me say since they've been here on the board. And I think that some of the issues that we've discussed over the last, particularly maybe 5 or 6 years, are not necessarily reflected in some of the recommendations. I think some of it may just be because some of the committee members may not be wholly familiar with how things work at the national level with the association that we're a member of. For instance, the old one read that we would attend the NACO Ledge meeting, NACO summer meeting, and this is proposing to change to 2 additional national meetings, where we have 7, currently there are 7 commissioners on this body that serve on NACO steering committees, and each of those committees have at times additional meetings. I don't know if those are being considered national meetings as well. I'm just not really clear on that when you say national meetings. Does that include those seminars, or is that intended just to include the 2 that we were already attending prior to these proposed changes? And some other questions in here, but I know there's been a lot of discussion about whether we should have a certain dollar amount. I don't think any commissioner should be hindered in terms of what it takes to represent certainly their district, but to be able to move up in leadership within the national organization or the state association for that matter. Caddo is just very, very, and always has been, from my understanding, and particularly since I've been here, very, very active in the state association. And probably in the last, since I've been here for sure, even before, very, very involved at the national level. Whether that was as committee chairs or vice chairs, and in order to move up and to be able to secure additional funds, have that exposure, get additional information, so on and so forth, you've got to be at the table. And I, don't want to see us bite our nose off to spite our face, because some people don't think commissioners should travel at all, which I think is an extreme view. And then, of course, you have some that, I guess the perception is that some travel too much. I think there's a happy medium that we can come to. I don't think what's before us is it. And I just think we need to bounce it around a little bit more. So I will not be, in addition to my concerns about the notice not being sufficient, I think the discussion, there needs to be a little more hashing on it as well. Thank you.
Mr. Cox?
In our committee meeting, when we spoke on this, there was nothing that was against any commissioner as far as how many trips a commissioner took or did not take. The bottom line is we were allocated so many
And if at any given time a commissioner needs to go on a steering committee, we're lucky in the state committee because the state pays for us. There's nothing back on the commission if Ken or I go to the state like we were, about 2 weeks ago? So it's no skin off the Caddo. But this was made, really, it's not that big of a change, but if you or anyone else wants to go on make a steering committee, I'm on transportation. I'm lucky enough that our commission, or our steering committee, you can dial in by phone even though you're not there. And that's what I've done the last 2 times. So if you do have a meeting, you want to go to it, you follow the proper procedure and come back through and get your 7 or 8 votes, and that's
So
it.
what precipitated, I guess, the need for wanting to make the changes here then? Because if we could, if I could still do the same thing, then...
More of a balance of dotting your i's, crossing your t's. More of a checklist.
Okay. Thank you.
Cast your vote to move to Thursday.
One out of the chamber.
You need 7 to move or 6 to move?
You need 8 for final
But what do you need to move?
You just need a majority of those present.
All right. Then it's moved to Thursday.
We actually will not be voting on it Thursday.
Right.
It'll be the 17th.
Can you change your vote? Tomorrow. Or 2 weeks.
No, I ain't playing.
You can bet this.
Authorized resolution number 3 of 2013 approving the North Louisiana Criminalistic Laboratory Commission proposed operating budget for 2013.
So move it, Chair.
Moved by Mr. Williams, second. Second by Mr. Escobar. Cast your vote, please. Mr. Williams, they didn't register yours.
Daydream, I had a senior man.
I never told you all about. That passes 11-0.
Authorized special resolution recognition for Caddo Parish employees involved with the Wells Island Road water emergency.
So move it, Chair.
Motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Escudate. Cast your vote, please. Mr. Smith. And that passed 11-0.
Authorized confirmation Mr. Henry West, Director of Public Works.
So move to Thursday. Move to Thursday.
Thursday's meeting.
So move it.
All right. Mr. Jefferson.
Take me out.
Okay. Cast your vote to move Thursday. Passes 11-0.
Consent agenda.
Move to adjourn. Mr. Jefferson,
Let's go back to item 2 on the agenda. Let's see, I made the motion to advance it. Did Mr. Escudate make a motion to delay? Did he get a second?
No, I didn't make a motion.
What did he say?
I just
You
said I wasn't gonna
delay.
support it.
he just spoke.
Okay, all right. That's all I have.
Good, Joe?